Hey, welcome to the Secret Sauce series brought to you by our good friends at Fistful of Talent and Outmatch. This is RJ Morris. I'm joined today by Dawn Burke, who's the Chief People Officer at Daxko. Dawn, I'm going to give you the opportunity to give yourself the big introduction in just a second. But when we start, how are you? How are you today?
Oh man, I'm really good. I'm actually good. You can tell I'm bright, shiny day behind me with the yellow background. Um,
Representing the Daxko Orange, I believe, is that what that color is officially called in the Crayola
this
box?
would be banana pudding.
Banana pudding.
Yes,
Uh,
I couldn't make that up. I
I,
don't make this stuff up.
I am certain that you can't. Hey, welcome and thanks very much for joining. It's the middle of summer. You're down in Bama. I'm in St. Louis, so we're both basically close to the seventh circle of you know what.
Right.
We're fighting our way through the summer. Hey, we started this new series at Secret Sauce. It's brought to you by our good friends at Outmatch. Basically, it's real simple. We put smart people on the video together, and we have a quick little chat. I know you're smart. Tell the people all the reasons why you're smart, Dawn. What do you do? Where are you at? All those things.
Well, I am, as you said, I'm the VP of people. You gave me a nice promotion, but I'll take it. I'm the VP of people at Daxko. We're a software company, and I'm located in fabulous Birmingham, Alabama. I'm also a contributor for Fistful of Talent. And I have my own blog called Dawn Burke and get to do cool stuff like this. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so for the folks listening at home, Don's been a good friend of mine for probably coming up on 8 or 9 years. We've been together, both writing at Fistful of Talent and collaborating on stuff outside of that blog. And she's a great writer. She writes very accessible stuff about real world HR and a technology company. She's got a great team down at Daxco, and they do really cool things. So certainly check her out. Main goal for today, we're talking about the hiring process, and we're talking about this concept of kind of gambling on hires. And I wrote a post last week up at Fistful of Talent. And it's basically about that hiring manager who thinks he's Kenny Rogers. He thinks he's the gambler of hiring managers, and he trusts his gut feel, and he loves intuition, and he's willing to take a chance. Yeah, I even made the joke where this is the guy or girl who will come in and be like, "Hey, I met this great girl last night at Chevy's, and
Right.
I think she should be our new VP of engineering." And it's that type of hiring manager. Dawn, you've been in HR and HR leadership positions for a long time. Have you bumped into that hiring manager who thinks they know, they can read people, they know what they're doing, and they're willing to take maybe some gambles that they shouldn't?
Well, first of all, if the person said that they found the person at Chili's or Chewy's, others, C, restaurants that begin with a C, I would have said take the gamble. Sorry. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. So, yes, to answer your question, many of them do think that they have a sixth sense or an intuition around who they should gamble on. And I'll tell you, I don't think it's intentional. What I found with most managers, particularly ones who are newly promoted into management roles, the only thing that all people think they have this innate ability to do is to interview of all of the management skills. And I think it's because a lot of people say, well, I can talk. I can have a conversation with somebody, and they really haven't gone down a deeper layer. So many times I've run into this.
Nice, fantastic. Yeah, the person who thinks they're great standing up at a bar one on one
Yeah.
and telling good jokes also thinks they're a great interviewer. It's one of the things that I'm always amazed by because we provide very little training and development and coaching on interviewing and selection skills. But the minute you become a manager, you're entrusted
You,
with bringing people into your team.
absolutely,
It's kind
absolutely.
of it's kind of sort of nuts when you think about it.
Oh, it's very
So
nuts. It's cuckoo. It's like this kind of cuckoo.
Dawn, again, talking with Dawn Burke, VP of People at Daxco in Birmingham, hanging out with me on the Secret Sauce series brought to you by our friends at Fistful of Talent and Outmatch. Check out Outmatch for all your employee development and talent hiring needs. They're a fantastic friend of the business. Um, h- Help me, Dawn, when you get tasked with working with that new manager and you want to help him or her with their interview and selection capability and you want to talk with them and coach them a little bit, where do you start? How do you start that conversation on how to say, hey, person who thinks you're really good because you always take gambles that rarely work out, here's how I can perhaps help you or how I can start that conversation?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think the first thing that is going to be in an ideal situation, as you had alluded to a little bit earlier, RJ, is try to do as much training as you can before they are promoted. One of the things that we do here at Daxco is anybody who is a part of our interview process, because part of our process does include a peer interview level. The people team teaches a training. You have to go through kind of a hiring 101, interviewing 101 class with us before you even can set foot in a room. So a lot of folks might not have that time or that bandwidth, but it's one of the most important decisions you're going to be doing as any type of a leader in an organization is hiring. So I think that's a non-negotiable in a lot of respects. But let's say you hire somebody in who's got management experience and they think they're really, really good at it. I think the best way that you can explain to them, first of all, RJ, would you agree there's probably 100 white papers out there that you could Google? I mean, just Google, behavioral interviewing, structured interviewing, and you'll be able to get some data points.
Yeah, you're lowballing it at 100, but that's you're exactly right. There's tons.
There's tons. So I mean, start with some data, and then I think one of the things you should do is simply model it. Model it. At first, just say, as part of our onboarding process, since you're new to X company, what we would like to do is I'd like to sit in the interview with you. I can see what you do, you can see what I do, and we'll partner through this. So don't diminish their skills, don't hurt their ego, and frankly, you might be surprised that they're really dang good, but I really think you have to model it.
Yeah, so I think you've completely nailed it. So we talk about the concept here of co-interviewing. We take our talent acquisition team, and with any management team, we're going to sit in on the first probably 10 to 12 interviews that they're going to do if it's a kind of a high volume interviewing position. And we'll take turns with us leading one interview and them kind of providing color commentary, and then them leading an interview with us providing color commentary as we go. And it should be natural. It should be seamless to the candidate, right? But they've got to be able to see people who do recruiting and interview and selection for a living doing interviewing and selection. They've got to be able to see that work. It would be difficult to have that brand new med student go in and do a surgery without ever having seen one done before.
Right, absolutely.
And certainly we're not doing surgery, but the concept of having the experts do the work in tandem with somebody else, that's just good learning and development practices.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Again, sitting here with Dawn Burke, VP of People at Daxko, on the Secret Sauce series brought to you by Outmatch and Fistful of Talent. Dawn, one probably last question. Have you ever had that gamble hire that paid off really well for you? Did you ever bring somebody in who was outside of kind of the profile of what you thought or what the company thought you needed, but you saw some things and you wanted to say, hey, we think that this is a risk that we're willing to take? Can you think of a success story like that you guys have had?
No, I can't think of any. I really, fine. Honestly, I thought through this, and I really am not a big believer in this type of gamble. Now don't get me wrong. There are going to be some times where you will conscientiously gamble on something, and here's what I would suggest: if you're going to make a gamble, make it be a gamble on skills, not behaviors, and you might want to make a gamble for an internal referral. Again, that's even a little shaky there, but there's too much data for me to in my profession. I just don't make the gamble. Now here's because I know the process, I know the data. To me, it's nonsensical to not go through a process. All right. That being said, if a hiring manager insists on a person without going through a certain process or really feels their guts telling them something, the best thing you can do after you've tried to train them and given them some facts is let them make the hire. Let them make the hire. They're adults. They are experts in their field. We are not here to babysit. We are here to give advice and opinion. And then if they make a hire on a gut feeling and it fails, that will teach them more than anything I could do sitting down across from them, warning them. So I didn't really answer your question, perhaps in the way that you intended, but I hope I gave some insight.
No, you gave a great answer. You're not playing the role of hostile witness. You're fine. I think you make a great point, and I'm a big believer in that. When I talk with a hiring manager, I do tell them bringing people into your part of the organization, building your part of the business is probably the most critical thing that you're going to do, and it's probably more so than hitting numbers, not hitting numbers, delivering product. It's probably the thing that you're going to best be known for. So if you bring in bad employees, it's going to become very apparent to the organization very soon. If you bring in great employees, it's likewise going to become very apparent that you're building a fantastic organization. And that responsibility lies with them. And so if they want to take a gamble, if they really want to roll the dice on the bartender that they met at the airport last week, and bring them in and kind of maybe skirt the process, take a risk, take a gamble. That's completely on them. I'll advise and consult as much as I can. But I do want them to own that responsibility.
Absolutely.
You're
and
absolutely.
And my hope is that it works. I mean, I never, I'm not trying to catch somebody in a gamble and it fail. My intention is not for somebody to fail. But at some point, if they're going to take the gamble and they know the consequences of the gamble, then hey, you make the hire, I'll still do everything I can to support you in the HR function, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and by the way, I know this about you for sure, and I'm the same way, right? Hey, the process isn't always right. And
Correct.
so I'm not the demander, the HR person who says, "Hey, you have to follow our process, and this is the way it works," because sometimes that's just not the right business move.
Right.
We want to set up a process that hopefully identifies and gathers a bunch of data, identifies what's important in the role, screens and selects for that role, and then bring people in that match up with that. Sometimes we might find somebody who's a little bit outside or a little bit different, or the process flexes. As long as there's a good business case for that, I'm
Yeah,
totally fine with it.
absolutely.
Hey, we've been talking with Dawn Burke from Daxko. Dawn, it's been a great conversation. I really appreciate it. You're awesome whenever I need a smart person to talk to. You're good.
Thank you.
I know that folks love hearing from true HR practitioners who are in the trenches doing the work. So I really appreciate it. This has been the Secret Sauce series brought to you by Outmatch and Fistful of Talent. Check out Dawn Burke. Check out her writing. Check out the work that she's doing with her team, because she's doing some really cool stuff. Dawn, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day.